Hello there. This is Donna Coles, and I'll be talking with you about pricing your coaching and consulting services. Some of the things that I'll cover will be the realities that can affect your pricing decisions. I'll talk briefly about 5 different coaching strategies, and then ideas to consider when you want to set your pricing strategy for a particular client. Let's look at some of the realities that can affect your pricing decisions. What's the scope and depth of the work for this particular project? How much time and research will you have to put into the work in order to present a complete product at the end? What's your related experience? What about industry and local community standards in regards to fees and pricing for this type of work? And lastly, what are your perceptions of your value to the client in being able to present to the client an outcome that they will find to be greater than acceptable? And then we want to look at what can the client afford and what is their remittance schedule. This is something that may have to be negotiated. And in terms of your client's expenses, if we're talking about a business to client relationship, this will be a personal expense for the client. What can they afford? If we're talking about a business to business relationship, this will be an organizational expense. What can this company afford? And lastly, let's look at your income requirements. What about your personal expenses, your income requirement personally? And what about your business income requirements? All 7 of these ideas need to be taken into consideration when setting the fees for any particular project. Now we'll take a look at 5 typical pricing strategies that you'll want to consider when you want to make a pricing decision for your client. First of all, there's the very simple hourly rate. Your billing is based upon the amount of time that you use. And we talk about billable hours, whether it's directly or indirectly related to the client's goals. You'll have to account for the time that you spend on your client's account. Next, we have the monthly retainer, which seems to be very popular right now. Your client will have either limited or unlimited access to your services each month, and for that access, there will be an agreed upon monthly rate. This monthly rate is based upon time and not specific services that you will deliver. Next, we have productized services. You'll have a specific goal that you and your client agree upon, and based upon that goal, there'll be a project-based fee. This fee will be universal. Anyone who receives this type of work from you will receive the same quotable price. Value-based pricing really relies upon the relationship that you establish with your client, because you and your client will identify a negotiated rate based upon what your client identifies as an anticipated return on investment. Payment after guaranteed result really places the onus upon you to make sure that there is measurable goal achievement that you and the client agree upon so that you will be paid at the end of the engagement. When using payment after guaranteed result, you may want to be paid 50% midway and then the other 50% at the end of the engagement, or there are some professionals that wait until the end before they receive a penny. So how are you going to choose? Here are 5 and more considerations for you to consider. Let's talk about a particular engagement. What is the business model? Is this a business to client engagement? And what does the client require? Is this a business to business engagement? And what does the client organization require? Can you wait monthly, quarterly, or annually for payment? Calculate your income needs and your income goals, and that will help you to determine overall the best suited strategy for you. For any given engagement, what's the lowest rate you can accept, keeping in mind your value and the amount of time you'll spend? What's the highest rate that you're willing to charge? What's the industry or community standard? Choose the rate that's suitable for you to meet your income to expense ratio. Once you've identified a rate, whether it's an hourly rate or a productized rate, what volume is required to achieve your income goals? Is this volume humanly doable for you? Are you likely to burn out? Do you need to increase your rates? One of the things that I'll say later on is that if you are working a lot of hours but still not meeting your income goals, perhaps you need to raise your rates. You also have to keep in mind that even though you've identified what your expenses are, you have to have an estimate of unpredictable costs of doing business, uncollectible fees, refunds, legal fees, rising costs, and equipment repairs are just some of the fees that you'll have to keep in mind. And here are some additional considerations for you. When setting your fees, you want to be flexible. Choose the fee setting strategy that's going to meet each of your clients' needs and your needs too. It's very important that you honor your value. And I find that many times coaches and consultants don't honor their value enough, and they don't necessarily assure that they're going to receive a fair compensation for their work. And again, as I said before, raise your rates if you're overworked and burned out. Raising your rates will allow you to work less and gain more. I hope that this has been helpful. If you'd like more information, please contact us at 336-999-4533 or send us an email. Or if you like, visit our website at blackcoachesandconsultants.org. And you can also consider joining our association.